actually kind of annoyed by this question because I think I'll just blow by all the stupid slogans and answer the question. Let me just back up and say Indigenous Services Canada does manage...
Please don't back up. Please just answer the question.
Point of order,
I'm just looking
Mr.
for
Chair.
a number.
Well, I think...
The minister keeps getting...
Jamie, respectfully learn the rules,
order.
okay?
Point of order.
It's not a point of order, and it's not a repetition issue. Minister Hajdu, Canadians would expect that the Indigenous procurement system be designed to benefit Indigenous peoples and Indigenous communities, not a small number of well-connected NDP Liberal government insiders. Dalian is a two-person company. They don't do actual work. They just get government contracts and subcontract to others. How many Indigenous people benefited from the $7.9 million that your government sent to Dalian for a Arrive scam?
I think I'll just blow by all the stupid slogans and answer the question. Well, I'll tell you that the Indigenous Business Directory is...
I'd love for you to answer the question. How many Indigenous people benefited from the $7.9 million that your government gave to Dalian for a Arrive scam?
So I think I'll just blow by the stupid slogans and begin by answering the question in a sincere way, which is what I would hope we would all do around this table, because these are serious issues and sincere concerns. Let me just back up and say Indigenous Services Canada does manage...
Please don't back up. Please just answer the question.
I would love to do that. Are you ready to listen?
Go for it.
All right, great.
How many Indigenous people benefited? Just the number would be fine, actually.
So the Indigenous Business Directory is a directory that Indigenous Services Canada maintains to provide to other departments of Canada a list of businesses that have been verified as either...
Sorry, Minister, this is a two-person company. They don't do any actual work. They're listed on the Indigenous Businesses Directory. They receive contracts and subcontract. That's all they do. They get government contracts. They subcontract the work to others. How many Indigenous people benefited from the $7.9 million that your government gave to Dalian? I'm not looking for a history of the program.
Point of order,
I'm just looking
Mr.
for a
Chair.
number.
Well, I think that...
Sorry, just 1 second. I'll stop the clock. Mr. Batiste, what's your point of order?
The member has asked, it's repetition. She's trying to answer the question. The minister keeps getting
Jamie, respectfully learn the rules,
Order.
okay?
Point of order.
It's not a point of order, and it's not a repetition issue.
Well,
I'm repeating the question because I want the
You're
answer.
coming in from another committee, but
She's a minister, you're not. Let her answer.
We are
Okay?
into debate. We are into debate, but I will say that, as I noted, we ask the minister questions, we allow the minister to answer.
Just the number. That's all I need.
So I'll turn the floor to the minister and to continue with your response, please.
So to understand the Indigenous Business Directory, you have to understand what it's for. And the Indigenous Business Directory is to provide assurances to other departments, including Procurement Canada, that the people on that list are Indigenous. And so that is the sole purpose of the list. It's about indigeneity.
Okay. Minister, what Mr. Yeo told the Public Accounts Committee yesterday is that the purpose of the program is not to benefit Indigenous communities, but only to benefit the particular individuals who receive the contracts. What you've just said effectively confirms that. It sounds like you have no information about whether Indigenous peoples or communities actually benefited beyond the two people who got $7.9 million for no work. Of all Dalian's contracts totaling at least $91 million under your government, did all of those $91 million worth of contracts benefit from the Indigenous procurement set aside? And what percentage of the subcontractors were Indigenous?
I would like... I'm actually kind of annoyed by this question because it implies that if an Italian person owned a company, then only Italian people should benefit from that company's business. And in that is an implicit, I would say, stereotype. Indigenous business owners are just like non-Indigenous business owners. And some Indigenous business owners have many Indigenous employees. In fact, many businesses do.
Minister, I'm going to spare you the false indignation here. Okay?
That turn a profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Minister
question
respond.
is
No,
implicitly,
Mr. Chair, I'm going to jump in accordance with the rules.
discriminatory.
Yeah, of course. Here we go. Here we go, Minister. Your government faces intense heat over this corruption scandal, and your response, your only response, is not to answer the question, but to accuse other people of racism. This is so
My
typical of your
response,
government.
Mr. Genuis.
Now, I'm going to finish, Minister. Here are the facts, right? Dalian is a two-person company. They don't have employees. There's just two of them, right? So does it seem to you a problem that this company can get close to $100 million worth of contracts from your government? They don't do any work. They subcontract. That there's no tracking of whether Indigenous people actually benefit. There's no tracking about whether other Indigenous businesses receive subcontracts. And that simply by being the middleman, they're able to claim this massive set-aside when there is no tracking of actual benefits to Indigenous communities across the country. Don't you think that's a problem?
What I would say is that whatever has happened, contractors should be held accountable, regardless of whether they're Indigenous or not. The rules don't
But do you think this is an abuse of the Indigenous procurement program? Do you think this is an abuse of the intention of the program?
Yeah, I would ask, there's only 10 seconds
I
left.
would say if
think
people
let's
are on
let
the
minister
list who
respond.
are not Indigenous, it is an abuse, and that is why Dalian
So you're
is
fine with
suspended
what
from the
happened with
list.
Dalian?
Okay, we're out of time on this one. I'm going to have to move to the next person. Next up, I have Mr. Carr for his 5 minutes.
Hi, Minister.
Sure.
As you know, I spent a lot of time in my career as an educator.
You did.
And during my time as an educator, I had the privilege of working with